Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Christine Retner, and I'm part of the Lightspeed marketing team. And I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Unlocking Efficiency Lightspeed Integrations One-on-One. So a little bit of housekeeping items before we get started. Just to let you know, our webinar is being recorded. You can use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and our team will try to answer as many questions as we can during our time today. Additionally, the webinar will be made available as an on-demand webinar on our website within the next couple of days. So feel free to check out our website for that recording if you wanted to share it with colleagues within your organization. I'd like to introduce you to our presenters today. We have Rob Grant and Jeremy Johnson. Turn it over to you guys.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Robert Grant, and I'm the Associate Director of OEM and Business Development here at Lightspeed, focused on the marine industry. And I have been associated in the marine industry for 30 plus years at this point, and with Lightspeed for over 24. And really excited to share with you some of the tips and tricks of the integrations that we have available for our dealer partners. Jeremy?
Thanks, Rob. So I am Rob's counterpart, Jeremy Johnson, also Associate Director of OEM Business Development. I oversee our marine and trailer industries. Previously, when I first came to Lightspeed, I also managed all of our power sport relationships. So I have over 25 years, more in the digital space, worked a lot with website companies in the past. I live in northern Minnesota and enjoy as much things I can getting outside and enjoying the activities up here. So kind of rolling into our integrations, I'm not going to read this whole entire slide, but at the end of the day, really what we're trying to put forward is what Lightspeed, myself and Rob and everybody else here is one thing I think that separates our systems beyond just being a great system in general is all the integrations that we try to push. Many of these have been around for decades in the power sports industry. But Rob and myself have really started to push these with both marine and RV, as well as some trailers. And although you guys have used Lightspeed, some of you for decades now, and even went through, from Unix to NXT to Evo, but I like to say just because you've been doing it for 2 years or 20 years doesn't mean now there's a better way to do it. So a lot of the integrations we're going to go through today are things to save time, but also be more accurate in your data. We just really believe that you shouldn't have to do things more than once. So the idea is just getting in there and then training your staff on new ways to do it. Most of us that have had a cell phone for a long time myself is I had the big brick phone originally. Then I kind of went to some flip phones and stuff like that, which again, calling and maybe some texting capabilities, and we all know how the texting used to be, but now think about what you can do on your iPhones or Androids and stuff like that. So it's embracing technology, and that's really what we're pushing here with our integrations. So lots to cover today. The bulk of this will be focused around RV and marine, but keep in mind all of these are available for power sports, plus many more. Looking at some of the registers, we saw a lot of people that have power sport dealerships or from OEMs. So we're actually going to look at doing maybe a power sports focused one here in the very near future. But again, everything we're going over today are also available within our power sports dealerships too. So just quick agenda again: VIN, HIN coding, parts price books, our warehouse availability, recalls, bulletins, parts order submission and import, major unit receiving, lead integration, customer delivery, and PDI forms. We're going to go over a little bit of the million-dollar question is, what does it cost? How do I get it set up? So we're going to quickly go over that, and then we'll open it up to some questions at the end. As Christine said, this is being recorded. This will be sent out, so we urge you, share this with anybody else in the dealership. But we just want you guys using this, because what you're going to be really excited to see at the end is most of these, there's no cost to your dealership at all. They're just things you can start using today. So kind of starting off with VIN HIN decoding. So obviously this is available For most of our power sport manufacturers, it is relatively more new within RV. Rob manages marine, and obviously you can see on the bottom there's a hefty list of OEMs that are available. But the whole idea with this is when you're adding maybe a new unit to inventory, or you're having a unit come in for a repair order, you need to get that unit added. So sometimes the simplest thing to do is just get the VIN from it, entered in a Lightspeed, and like we say, is basically click on the little cloud button and watch the magic. So as you guys have seen this screen several times in the past, the idea is you just put your VIN and the serial number. And this is an example of what you would get instantly for a Jayco model. So it's going to bring in a 25 Jayco, it's a 19 MRK, J Feather, and the serial number. Depending on the OEM and the manufacturer, this data can be different, and I like to always put an asterisk with that. Jayco is really one of the only brands in the RV that we are getting the model. Most of them we can get down to the model series or name. When you look at power sports, we get in a ton of information. We sometimes pull in recalls and bulletins directly from this service. Maybe there is a warranty date that pulls in from there. But as you can see in the bottom, the list is continually growing for RVs, OEMs. One that I don't even have on this list that we literally just got this week was Winnebago. So Winnebago RVs for both towables and motorhomes will be available very shortly, as well as you see a little asterisk on there. Brinkley RV is currently being on there. Rob, you got anything to add on the marine side?
I mean, the biggest thing is this is something that's fairly new, as Jeremy mentioned, but one of the things that we're looking to do is enhance and actually bring in as much information as we possibly can. So as mentioned on the power sports side, we can get a lot of this data directly from the manufacturers and populate that within the system. We're doing the same thing with marine and RV. And even on, say, as an example, recently we've integrated with Avalon and Tahoe pontoons. And with that service, we're getting a lot of data. We're getting, color information, both interior, exterior colors. We're getting all sorts of details. So really trying to enhance the amount of information that becomes available just by simply entering that VIN or HIN for your units.
Yeah, and we want this list to grow to make this as easy for you. So you do know we do some back end decoding on the Lightspeed side, but if there's any OEMs that are not on these lists, feel free to reach out to Rob or myself, or dealers that have, if there's brands you're not seeing on here, talk to your district sales manager. If you know anybody else, have them reach out to Lightspeed. We'll do all the work. And again, this is free, does not cost anything. We want it to work for almost every brand we have. Parts price files. I know, Rob, you're kind of an expert on this, so I'm going to hand this one over to you.
So hopefully most of you are familiar with parts price files, but if not, really this is a great way to be able to normalize your part pricing as well as other detailed information. So what we've done is these part price files we get from the respective vendors, aftermarket, OEM, or otherwise. And what that does is that sets a standard as far as a supplier code that then other integrations can build upon. But we have almost 300 price books available from all of the major distributors within the industries that we serve: power sports, marine, RV, trailer, etc. We also carry a lot of those for the individual OEMs. And so those are slowly being built out for those that we don't have. And again, as Jeremy mentioned previously, if you don't see your OEMs on this list or your distributors on this list, please put them in touch with us or put us in touch with them. We would appreciate that, and we are looking to build this out. Now, when you're looking at where to sign up for these or how to automate these processes, you can go to within Lightspeed into your system lists and stores and be able to see this information. Once you've accessed your store within your Lightspeed system, you'll notice there is a price book tab there. This will show you the available price books on the left-hand side, those that your store are subscribed to and getting regular updates on. And then we also do have custom price books, that custom price book option available. So if there may be some smaller ones, smaller distributors or part suppliers that you may utilize, you can import a custom price book for those. Ultimately, though, this does streamline the process. It allows you to have up to date pricing for those particular vendors, and you're able to then also leverage some of the additional integrations as we'll jump into here shortly.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the best thing is, we do know and understand that some dealers have custom pricing and stuff like that, but it requires you to constantly being pulling a new list to enter it in there. Because like we talk up in the front is there's constantly new parts being added, there's discontinued parts, there's parts with supersession part numbers on there. So we really try to keep or take this burden away from you to have to make these up. Obviously, tariffs are a big thing on everybody's minds and talking. I was just reading this morning how, we're coming up to July 9th with potentially stuff off. The conversations that Rob and I have with a lot of these distributors and OEMs is around that. They're having teams trying to scramble with that. So, we've had one of the newest ones I just added. We're doing weekly updates from them. So that'll ensure that any prices that happen from them will be somewhat rarely very accurate for you guys with that versus loading it custom now and then completely forgetting about it to go back and upload it, and it could be months later and then that pricing is not going to be correct. MSRP doesn't always change, but the cost will with that stuff. So we just want to make sure that you're having the most accurate numbers in the system.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll throw out there, we don't spotlight it here, but we are building this out, is actually live dealer costs. Jeremy mentioned that you may have your particular discounted pricing or costs for items. We do have a few distributors that we have a live dealer cost integration with, which what that really provides you is within the parts inventory record, within the parts invoicing screens, you will be able to see for that particular SKU your current price as of that minute. And so we do a reach out and then they send back that price. So that is an integration that is out there and available for a few distributors. We're not going to touch on that today, but I do want to put a little heads up out there that, that is available.
Great point on there. So I think this is quite frankly one of the most popular functions of Lightspeed. And a lot of it has to do with obviously with the sheer number of dealers we have. So parts warehouse availability. So we've all obviously, here's an open RO. We put some parts on there and you don't have it in stock. So we need to go ahead and order that. So we're obviously, got a couple locations on there. So typically, obviously, you're going to click on the little warehouse info. That's going to light up green. So from there, this pop up again for any Lightspeed dealers. This is what you see all the time. But this shows 3. So this store actually has other stores within their network. We're showing a Yamaha example on this one, but if they had any of their other stores carried this same part or were a Yamaha dealer, it would actually show their other stores at that top one. The middle section shows all Lightspeed dealers that are sharing their data, and it'll break it down by miles closest to you. And we try to pull in, as most of the contacts are parts managers or are that, so you get their email, you get their phone number, so you could quickly call them, especially if you got a part, a unit that's maybe been sitting around getting close to lemon law or something like that, and you really need that part. You could call a fellow dealer and try to get that transferred. But the bottom one is so important because as you guys maybe have young people working at your parts counter, maybe they're high school kids, whatever, you don't want to give them access always to all of these different portals for them to go in. Also, you want to be very proficient at the parts counter with that. So when they're fumbling around trying to go from Lightspeed to a different portal, whatever. So what we do with over 40 of our, I think it's about 40 now, Rob, of our manufacturers and distributors, is we pull in daily their warehouse availability. So in this example, you can see that Yamaha has 3 separate warehouses, and in their Kennesaw location, they have 9+. We do cap it at 9+, so we're pretty confident that they're going to have it. We don't show that they have 8,000 bolts in of one, but you can quickly now tell the customer that, okay, this part number that we're looking up right now is, yeah, I don't have it in stock. My dealer doesn't have stock, but I can get this. It's available in the warehouse. And then we just add that as a special order, and then we'll order it from there.
And I think that's the key, as you mentioned, Jeremy, is just giving you the tools to be able to make those quick decisions and manage customer expectations. As you've got a million miles or your counter people have a million things going on at different times, just working efficiently and working as smart as possible to be able to set those customer expectations, properly up front is always key. So that's really the core idea behind this, is being able to know where you can get the parts, how quick you can access them, or be able to get them in.
Perfect. So we'll get into recalls and bulletins. Obviously, something that we never like to see, but it doesn't matter what kind of unit it could be. But it could be anything from as simple as a firmware update to a TV to potentially what we would hate to see is a stop right or something like that. But the whole idea is, things are being made and things need to sometimes be fixed under warranty. So what Lightspeed has built in their system, and this is looking at a new repair order, but the idea is we put a VIN in there, kind of like before with the VIN decoding, and can we quickly see if there's something that needs to be worked on that while still staying in Lightspeed? And that's kind of the theme of all this, is what Rob and my job ultimately is to create these integrations, because we all know, and it's not just Lightspeed, it's any dealer management system. The dealership lives in it. And again, that's selling units, that's selling parts, that's doing repair orders. You're doing everything in there that rolls into your accounting. So that is a daily thing. Then you have these multiple OEMs that you're selling for, or multiple distributors. So at the end of the day, you probably have a dozen other portals out there. You just can't obviously train everybody to be proficient in there. Some things you don't want to give access to. So we've had this function in for years. And what it does is once you put the VIN on there, you can see right below at the very top, the third little bullet over under Johnson, is there's literally a bulletins button built into the repair order. Once that unit is added and there is a recall or bulletin for that VIN, that button usually is grayed out. It'll literally kind of light up. You can see this one is in green. Talking about power sports and stuff like that, we do pull in PDFs of the actual work with some of the manufacturers out there. So it's probably even more enhanced than what we have with some of the other ones. But I like to show this example because this is kind of makes it super easy for you. So this is looking at a Forest River RV that has one. And so again, the whole idea quickly is for your advisor, your service tech, or whoever's checking in the unit, they can quickly see, is there anything that we need to do? So you can see with this particular unit, there's two different ones in there for the bulletin numbers, 236 and 195. And then this one is highlighted so we can see that the windshield roller shade may unroll. So the idea with this is now they need to get to the portal with that. So what happens with Forest River, and this is on the OEM side, this is the only one, Rob, I don't know if this is available for any of the Marine, you can ask this, but again, they go click on the bulletin, this pulls up, they click on the bulletin number, and this is an example of a Forest River. You're in their portal, so I can quickly see that recall, and off to the right actually are all the PDFs with that. So as long as your dealership is logged into FR Dealer Connect, you literally get exactly to the recall, and it's super streamlined. So on the bottom, you can see this list is continuing to grow. Alliance RV is coming soon. That should probably be available this week. And Rob, obviously, your list is definitely growing on the Marine side.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, having that integration really does two things, I think, for you. It allows you to generate some additional revenue for your service department, but then also too, it's that safety aspect of it. It's making sure that you're covered, that from a legal perspective, you're taking care of the consumer and taking care of these recalls and bulletins in a timely fashion. And again, keeping it in your workflow, as Jeremy mentioned, is what we're really trying to do. I failed to list one more on here. We do have this integration available for Yamaha outboards, personal watercraft, and jet boats as well. And as Jeremy's showing here with Forest River, with that Yamaha integration, that actually pops open the actual recall bulletin notice in a PDF form. And so, yeah, there's great capabilities and functionality with this. Again, looking to grow it more. And so we'd love to have a conversation if you can put us in touch.
Yeah, and Rob, correct me, but there's the bulletin buttons also on the sales deal. So the whole idea is before, if the sales guy is writing up a deal and has the VIN on there, that button would light up also, because the idea is they could quickly see maybe if there's something that needs to be fixed before that unit rolls off the lot.
Yeah, so there's not a separate button. What happens is we do a check at the time of finalizing that deal to ensure there aren't any stop sell notices out there, so that, you know, before you do that delivery, before you, you know, send that unit down the road or, you know, out on the water, that unit, you can do the necessary services for that. So gives you that opportunity again, you know, one last ditch effort to ensure that you are taking care of the customer, taking care of the unit, and resolving these issues.
Great. So I know you're kind of an expert on these two since you've worked with so many of these distributors on here. So I'm going to kind of let you go over the submission and then the import for the parts order.
Sure. Yeah, so, you know, for many years, you know, in the power sports space and some of the others, we've had purchase order integration for your parts ordering. That process has been more of a manual process where you come in, you generate your purchase order in Lightspeed, you then download that to a file that file gets imported into your OEM or your distributor's portal. And then you would go ahead and process the order there. What we've been really working on as of late is to streamline that process even more. So rather than have a file download and then have to import that file into the, you know, distributors or into the OEM system, we now have available direct integration. So for those vendors that are listed, those power sports dealers that are on the line as well, we also have this available for Parts Unlimited, Western Power, Tucker, or excuse me, Turn 14. You know, those are all available for those vendors as well. But this really, again, streamlines that process. So this bypasses that need to download a file and import it, and this actually goes direct. So when you pull up, you generate your purchase order here in Lightspeed, you click that Process DCS Purchase Order button. That then automatically submits it to their order system, where it then is processed and sent out. As part of that process, when you go through that DCS purchase order or create that DCS purchase order, you're selecting how you want that shipped. If you're going to want it overnight, if you're going to want it, you know, 2-day, 3-day, select whatever. Those are other options that we have tied in and integrated with the order process. So that is a very streamlined system process now, and this is where we're really trying to migrate all of the vendors and the distributors and manufacturers over to.
Yeah, and this is just another perfect example. We've had something in place for years, but we're making it better. We're making it so, again, you don't have to save a file on your desktop to load it. So now, instead of doing all that, you basically, again, the magic I like to say is you press the button and it's going to automatically go into one of the orders on there. Again, for any power sport dealers that are on the call or the webinar, please reach out to your rep. We will have it on here multiple times, but on our corporate website under partners, you can get a lot of this information to see what integrations, and you can search by the integration, you can search by industry, you can search by a OEM or distributor. So there's a lot of great information on there.
Yeah. So the next piece of this that we've added, so this has not been available up till just a few months back, but now we have added additional capabilities. So we've talked about the submission portion of it, pushing an order from Lightspeed over to your manufacturer or distributor. When you have your show orders, when you have maybe a managed inventory program that you're working with your partners on, they may generate those orders within their portal. So what this capability really allows you to do then is actually take any of those orders that might have been put into their system, into the distributors or into the OEM system, and actually import those into Lightspeed, reducing or eliminating that need to manually rekey those parts and that order back into Lightspeed manually. And so the idea is, under the parts menu, you would go to list down to supplier purchase orders. Under this supplier purchase orders, you will have a supplier drop down in the upper left-hand side. You will select the supplier you would want to import an order for. You have a date range there as well, which allows you to narrow the scope of orders that might be out there. And then you would simply hit that retrieve button in the upper right corner. then what that does is it reaches out to their system, pulls down all of those outstanding orders or those orders that have been entered onto their system down below. You can review those, select the one that you want to order, and then in the upper left-hand corner, it's grayed out on this screenshot. But once you select that order down below, it would illuminate that button and allow you to then create the purchase order directly in Lightspeed. So again, don't have to manually key part numbers, risk miskeying something, fat fingering, a part number or SKU in the system. That does it automatically based on the actual order that was in the OEM or the distributor portal. So this is capability, as you can see down below, that's available for Meyer, Seawide, Keller, NTP, and Northern is going to be coming soon. On the power sports side, we have it available for Helmet House, Parts, Turn, as well as Western Power. And so great capabilities. Again, this is fairly new. And so if you haven't looked at these lately, I would definitely encourage you to do so. If you go into the client portal, into the Lightspeed client portal, you can also search by supplier or vendor and any one of those. And we have help documentation on how to set up these integrations out there for you as well.
Yeah, what a time saver. I think, anybody, especially we talk about stocking orders where you're getting in, who knows, dozen, 20, 30, 40 boxes and hundreds of parts. Think about the time that your parts department has spent just manually creating a purchase order in Lightspeed. So this is literally taking all of that work away, will be 100% accurate directly from them. So this is super cool. We've been working on this in the last year. There's been a lot of OEMs that have asked about this. Even the idea, can we do some sort of spreadsheet? Can we do whatever? Where we just automated this through APIs. So it's all real time to pull it in here. But again, if you haven't used this, I urge you to go on the partners or the client portal or reach out to either customer service or your rep can help you get this set up on that. We'll go through some setups, but it's very minimal. And again, no cost to you guys. This one is super awesome. So I've been involved with the Forest River project. We're actually testing it this week. So I'm working with a small group of dealers right now, and what they've told me is every unit that comes in, it takes anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes to get a piece of inventory that hits the lot from taking all the information from the purchase order. So you think about just starting with VIN, year, make, model, all the costs, interior color, exterior color, both on boats and RVs, you're going to see maybe there's 5, 10, 15 different options that you want to be able to have so you can print them on the window sticker and the invoice with that. So Forest River, and we also are testing it with Yamaha Power Sports as we speak too. And then Rob has on here with Wells Fargo is also in testing right now, getting some flooring information to kind of do the same thing. But the idea is you'll go under the sales tab under major unit receiving, and you will basically find the unit. Most of them, as you can see, they're coming in from Forest River with an FR dash. That's basically the VIN. So you just can quickly look for the VIN or the model. You'll find it in there. You'll hit edit. Edit unit on there, and I think we even might have some more stuff on here. So again, major unit receiving, but again, this shows the Forest River, but I mean, it's literally going to pull in, the 2025 Forest River Coachman model name. It's gonna pull in the order number, all of the MSRP, your cost, all this stuff will be pre-pulled in directly from the OEMs we have this in. We really think this is going to be huge, and I only think our phones are going to be filling up, Rob, with the calls, because every dealer is going to want this. It's going to make life so much easier, more accurate, and just take away from sitting behind the desk. And what we really want is we want you out selling more stuff, contacting with customers. Rob can talk a little bit more. I think Barletta's just around the corner here to start testing.
Yeah, so we've got Barletta going pilot this week as well. Excited about that opportunity. And as Jeremy mentioned, really the key is to standardize a lot of that data entry, and then all that hopefully has that trickle down effect for those units that are getting posted on your websites. And so the information comes directly from the manufacturer and then to your website. And so you've got consistent, models and other designations based on, how they want that in. So really excited. As Jeremy mentioned, this is super cool, and hopefully will save you a ton of time in just inventory entry.
Yeah, we're thinking, like I said, the feedback I got from one of the dealers was 4 to 5 minutes. We're thinking anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds now per unit to get these into inventory. And again, it's all accurate. It's coming directly from the manufacturer, and you don't have to type in any of these things manually.
Yeah.
So lead integration. So obviously, most dealers carry a bunch of different OEMs. You have your own website. Maybe you're putting stuff on RV Trader or Boat Trader or Cycle Trader, all kinds of different places. So you're constantly getting leads sent to your dealership, and you have to do something with them. And obviously, you need to get them into Lightspeed as a lead on there. So one of the things that we've worked on, and the list is just extensive and keeps growing, but typically, this is a Forest River example. I filled it out, have all my information. I'm looking at this particular 22SW trailer, and then I would hit submit, and then most likely the dealer also still gets an email from Forest River, and they have all this information. So then it goes to sometimes a generic just sales ad, or goes to the sales manager, somebody, but now they have to then still enter it into Lightspeed. We've taken all that work away. So as soon as this is submitted, we can have it immediately go into as a lead. From there, then it can easily be assigned to a salesperson, or if you have round robin set up, it can go there. On the power sports side, like BRP and Polaris, as if there's any dealers on, you have clocks that are ticking, that you have so much time to do a follow-up with that customer. So is that comes in immediately as a lead, and then as you do that first action or contact and do a follow-up with it, that'll actually stop the clock, because we're also connected with that. So the easiest is obviously to go into the sources. This is showing Forest River, but as you go through this list, it's pretty extensive for both RV, marine, power sport manufacturers, as well as a lot of third-party companies out there. So you basically set it up, and then those leads will automatically come in there. If we're missing somebody, definitely contact your rep. They will get in contact with Rob or myself, and we will reach out and get that out. Again, there's no cost to the OEM to get this set up with that. So that's one of the cool things with this, is when we actually contact the manufacturers and OEMs to try to get this set up, is there's no cost to them. We have some really good documentation. We can get over to their IT or dev teams, and we usually can get these set up pretty easy. I know you're just working on a new one, I think, right now with Mercury, Rob.
Yeah, so we've actually just released the Mercury integration. Excited about that, and trying to work through getting everybody onboarded there, as well as driving this utilization. I think the key is ultimately we want to make sure that the dealer, are successful, as well as the customers being taken care of, and there's a great brand experience that goes along with that customer experience, and providing that quick follow-up, as well as having the information and the data available. And so ultimately that's our end goal here, is having this integrated within Lightspeed. One thing with this is, with the CRM package, then enters into the automation, and allows a lot of those customer touches to be made and automated, just ensuring that you are providing the best customer experience for your brands as possible. So,
Great point on the CRM, which I'm a huge believer in, because I think every stat, starting with automotive down to power sports, marine, and RV, is, I mean, as a consumer right now, when we submit a lead, we're looking to get contacted almost immediately, and it's not just from the autoresponder from the website that once you hit submit, they want a personal contact. So we can also then send out, even if it's just a immediate one from your dealership, that's more handcrafted from your dealership and not from the OEM. With that, as well as obviously all the phenomenal and fantastic follow-up chains that can be completely automated. So that's another thing I would definitely look in if I was running a dealership.
well, and one other thing that I'll mention, just to kind of piggyback on that, is a lot of your OEMs, a lot of your third-party providers, they may have co-op funds available. And so there's programs available that could help offset any additional, costs for whether it's the text marketing, the email marketing capabilities within the Lightspeed CRM. Those pieces, there may be some opportunities there. I know that is something that Mercury is helping out dealers with, with their integration. And again, currently just focused on the repower dealers at this point. But there's that possibility and opportunity out there for you as well as a dealer, with those brands.
Awesome. So next, this is relatively new for our RV. We're going to be looking at some marine. We call customer delivery or pre-delivery inspection forms. In power sports, we have a lot of multi-inspection forms that are already in there. I'm trying to so Yamaha, that's available for both US and Canada. We have BRP, we have Ducati. I'm trying to think, there's one more I'm missing right now, but we just at the request from our forms department, they're getting a lot of dealers that are a lot of the newer dealers going through setup and implementation right now with Lightspeed are trying to see what forms are available that we can help automate. And so we quickly reached out to a lot of the OEMs, and this list will hopefully continue to grow, but we were able to get a lot of these delivery forms. And so these are now available to be added through the forms team or your inside rep. And we can basically digitize these. So you'll be able to fill these out on your desktop, on your tablet, or your mobile device. And a lot of them tie in with our e-signature product too, which is great because then you can actually email or text them out directly to the customer. Sometimes they require a signature, and then all those will be housed within that unit because you're basically going to have that unit and you're going to spawn or that repair order that has it on there. So you can kind of quickly see a list on that. Also, just recently, with the help of Rob, is we made some more, industry generic forms that can be used regardless of the OEM or manufacturer, but kind of taking a little bit from all the forms that we've received and went from there. You got any more on that, Rob?
No, I think really the idea is trying to help, that whole service check-in process, both, pre-delivery as well as, after the fact with the consumer. And then the nice thing with these is with the e-signature capabilities, you have the ability to electronically complete these on the desktop and on the mobile app. And so really, really a slick process to be able to go through, check it. It will then save it back on that repair order so that you have electronic copy for future reference if need be. So great capabilities. And as Jeremy mentioned, we're just growing this list as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, it just helps digitize this stuff. So an example you could see on those select forms is there's a bunch of BRP health forms, which most BRP dealers have to actually buy the multi-point inspection or health forms. And then you fill them out. And now what do you do with them? Do you keep them in your file cabinet? Do you have a folder? Where are they at? So by making them electronic, now we've taken away extra costs of having to buy paper. You don't have to, store them anywhere that you're probably not going to be able to find them. So now once you fill them out, they're already now attached to that customer's unit within Lightspeed and can live there forever if you want it. So we're really trying to digitize stuff that we've had to do just plain paper in the past and make this easier. So again, this list will continue to grow. And again, this was at a response that we had like I said, our internal forms department actually came to us saying, hey, we got a lot of dealers asking for this stuff. And the OEMs that are on here were great. I mean, these were quick asks, and some of these we got within a couple days, and it literally just took a couple extra days to get them finalized and built out within our forms department. So again, you can reach out to them or your inside sales rep to get more information on that. So this is kind of where we kind of go into forms a little bit, and then you can kind of pick them on here. So we're kind of at the end. So what we wanted to quickly go through a little bit is, are there costs and what is the setup overview on here? So again, this will be sent out, but as you can see, the bulk of these are all free. Starting with VIN decoding, everything down. I do have an asterisk on lead integration. So there are some marine and RV manufacturers that One of our partners is Rollick, which some of you may be using outside for some of their nurture products already, but depending on their agreement with their aim-based product, there may be a cost that you would have to pay, and most of that would be through Rollick or through the OEM once that is set up. So put an asterisk. A lot of them don't. There's no cost to. The forms as we went through and the PDI and some of those. Typically, there's $125 one time per form. Contact them. They sometimes have some packages if you buy X amount at a time. So I think they're willing to work with you. And then lastly would be there is a cost to the price files because obviously we do have a lot of management and keeping them up and stuff like that. But we have, I think, as small as up to 3, depending on how many catalogs you're going to need. We have an unlimited package on there too. So, I mean, that's one that you can definitely call your inside rep. But we did show that screen of the price book swap within Lightspeed, and that's relatively within the last year. We've never had that functionality. So anytime you wanted to add or delete a price book, you had to call into Lightspeed and go through this long process. You can do it now from within your system at Lightspeed. So that's all available, and that'll actually go through the repricing and would recontract based on that. So again, all these for the most part are free. If you little bit with the price order and submission, there's a little bit of manual input. And what we mean by that is, for instance, some of them you might have to log into your portal and get what we call like a web key. That will have to be imported into Lightspeed. I mean, once you get the information, it's probably going to take you a minute or two, but it has to be done once. Some of them you might have to email the distributor to get that information on that, but we have all that information available. So again, those are huge time savers on some of that stuff. So anything else on this, Rob?
No, I think you covered it.
So that kind of brings us into any Q&A. I don't know if we've had any questions or anybody wants to propose stuff, but we can definitely answer to the best of our means for any questions or comments.
Thank you for all of the awesome information. At this time, I don't see any questions in our Q&A tab, but if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them in there and we'll try to get them answered.
We just did such a great job explaining them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this, again, these were some of the basic integrations that we have available. We did want to, provide just a refresher. And, again, it's always good to kind of fine tune your processes internally. So we do appreciate your time. Appreciate you taking a few minutes today to spend with us. And please feel free to reach out directly or through our customer support team. And we'd be more than happy to answer questions or be able to work on some additional projects for you.
Awesome. And I think this is the last thing is, again, look at some of these things and try to make a new process in your dealership and start using these, because I think what you'll find out is it'll help a lot of things. It'll make less time doing manual entry. It'll be more accurate in what you're doing, and obviously keep a lookout is if you're not subscribed to our monthly tune-up, make sure you get on that list. We will announce new stuff on that. Also within Lightspeed, we'll do different announcements for within the tiles, the little rotating ones in the bottom left-hand corner. But and ultimately the partners page on our lightspeeddms.com is always up to date. Again, you can search by industry, by OEM or distributor, or just by the type of integration, and there's a lot of information in there. Some of the bigger brands, we've built out actually dedicated pages that'll go through all of the integrations. So this is all of our industries for all of our dealers. And then I believe there's even information directly for us, Rob, on some of those pages that if you have questions, you can definitely get a hold of Rob or myself.
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to working with you.
Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.